Welcome to our second video of the day. In this next video, we're going to be using basically the same materials. We didn't even use some of them yet. I just wanted to mention these two erasers have a very different result. And the eraser shield, the way you use the eraser shield, let's say I didn't like this area right there of my drawing. I can use this to kind of protect my drawing from the eraser. So let's say I think I'll use this curve. See that piece of pencil right in there? I'll make it close up on it. There's some lines I don't want right here. So I'm going to put this right over the top of that. And the eraser shield keeps me from erasing the drawing. See, now those lines are gone. So that's basically what an eraser shield can do for you. And then I just wanted to mention, if you need to do some erasing here, but you have something really technical, then depending on how you need to erase, let's say it's just general smudginess, this one might be just as nice. Here I just out in the open, why not use this one? It does work faster. But it depends on what kind of erasing you need to do, which particular eraser you're going to pull. So basically I'm still going to use my 2H and my 2B pencils, and we won't use the blender until the next class. So the two techniques we're doing today are called Stipple, which is on this front sheet, and then Scumble, which is the second sheet. Now Stipple is a pretty cool drawing. It's not extremely common. It's like accent line. It's usually done on top of a drawing, something else that's going on in your drawing. So, but it's cool. It's nice. Sometimes people use stippling for just special effects, I guess. It takes a lot of patience too. So you take a look at your leaves you have and find one that seems to have a certain amount of spottiness to it. And so that's why I've chosen this red leaf right here, because a stipple is basically dots. And the way this has the changes in color and all that texture, it's going to lend itself to looking good in dots. So with the stipple technique, you can use either pencil. I'm definitely starting with my 2H, and we'll see how long I can stand using it. You are only going to make dots with your pencil. You want your pencil fairly sharp. And this is basically a technique. You'll see there's a 2H, here's a 2B. The 2B is a lot darker. Because of that, it's not as fine. I've seen some beautiful, beautiful drawings drawn by my students in the 2H pencil. Usually I personally can't stand it anymore, and then I switched to the 2B. Just a little bit of honesty there for you. So here I'm kind of drawing my design with them. I'm using the 2H still, drawing my design. You can't use any lines anywhere. The whole drawing is going to be a series of dots. I've noticed that my paper seems dirty down there because since I'm left-handed, I tend to smear my drawings. Usually it's here. See, there's some hair on my hand. So I could stop and erase the paper. That's fine. Okay, here we go. So this drawing is going to be a series of dots. So I'm drawing in this area right here, the leaf. Where it's closer together, you'll see your dots closer together for a darker value or more texture. And then where it's further apart, you're not seeing so many dots. So I'm putting in this middle line here. I'm going to try and leave it white if I can stand it. And then this is actually way up here. Sometimes I find that I don't like the way I drew something. I can change it. I mean, that's great. So I'm just using this series of small dots. The drawings take quite a while. Here's some sample drawings that were done of shells. I showed you some samples before. These are all done in 2B. Like I've said, I've seen some beautiful drawings. My students, usually I'm doing rushing because I'm doing a demonstration. And my students have done beautiful drawings over the years. So just showing you what a drawing could look like in the stipple technique. Usually it's on top of shading and other types of things, and it gives you a lot of texture, and it also does a lot of you know, values, lights and darks, and so on. So I could keep going with the 2H pencil here, but I think I'm going to switch to the 2B, and just so you can see me complete more of this. So yeah, this is going to take you a little while to do a really nice job, but give it a try. If you, you know, you can do working in my outline here. Here's kind of a darker area. Maybe you could work in parts of it and get part of it more complete than other parts of it. I like to work around and around, but I suppose most people would probably stay in one area until they get it the way they like it. So this is basically the stipple technique. After a certain amount of time, it starts developing into something you might recognize. So choosing a leaf that is kind of spotty is really helpful too. So even if you need a line, you have to stipple your line. This, I think that's a little bit further down here. There it goes. Still working on getting my nice looking shape here. Anyway, that's pretty much how stipple works. I'll go back and work some more on it. And yeah, you're probably not your favorite teacher right now because it can take quite a long time to really develop a beautiful drawing with this technique. So be patient with it and see what you come up with. See, I'm kind of leaning my pencil sideways. I'm getting those little slashes. You don't really want those. There's kind of a neat assignment in the other art class where they actually do this with a pen and ink and do an entire drawing in stippling. You'll see those like black and white drawings. They're stipple. People don't always do it in a pencil because it's such a fine technique, but usually on top of something else. We're starting to see a leaf here. Let me explain the next technique and then I'll get back and work on this some more for you. The next technique is scumble. And believe it or not, it's totally my favorite technique. Scumble is actually a scribble. So scumble, there's many, many, many ways to scumble. As many ways as there are textures, you can scumble. So if I'm looking outside, let's say I'm looking and I can see some ivy out there. So instead of drawing each individual ivy leaf in a drawing, let's say this takes you hours and hours and it still looks like an outline, so it's maybe not even helping you. You can do something like this. You come up with a scumble that looks a lot like ivy. Maybe you occasionally draw a full leaf, and usually the leaves are overlapping each other and creates like this. So basically, if you can't tell, I'm scribbling. I'm occasionally drawing something that seems to be ivy-like, but the whole thing in general will come out looking pretty much like a patch of ivy. Let's say this other tree is sitting out here by me. It has these kind of groups of leaves that look a little like this. So what I would do is I would maybe sometimes go in and really make a nice looking one, just a little more careful. But especially if it's not an important part of my drawing, I can get away with some type of a scribble that's going to start looking a whole lot like that particular tree. It's made up of a series of leaves like that. There's another tree out here that has these rows of leaves like this. So what I'm going to have to do, if I want to draw that tree, and it can even look kind of beautiful, but notice I'm not really drawing each leaf at a time. I'm kind of scribbling them in. So those are what scumbles do. You can scumble, let's say I want to draw a girl with bangs. I'm kind of scribbling in her hair, scumbling in her hair kind of quickly. Maybe that's her face, and I can scumble some eyebrows. So this type of a thing, a scribble is like kind of like a scumble is like a quick kind of a scribbly thing. Someone who has like really short curly hair, I would probably scumble like this, like super short hair, you know, so rather than like drawing a bunch of curly cues. That doesn't look very realistic. Get this phone call to stop. And so anyway, so if there's a texture and you don't know how to draw the texture, the answer is probably Scumble. And Scumble is like my favorite thing to do. I can do all kinds of drawing with various Scumbles, and you'll probably get used to me scumbling. So I'm looking for a leaf that's a little bit, I would say draw something that's challenging, but also seems to have texture to it. So I've decided to draw one of these. I don't know what kinds of leaves you have there in front of you, but this one has a very strange looking kind of leaf pattern. You know, and then maybe I don't want to take the time to draw all those things in particular. So I'm just going to scribble it in. So let's say I'm kind of just giving myself an outline here for what I think this looks like. So there's my outline, pretty scribbly. And then I can maybe go in and scumble in these types of leaves. And I'm just making it up as I go, making up a scribble that looks kind of like this particular plant. I can see one coming out over here. So your scumbles don't have to have rules. The idea is you're quickly scribbling in some type of details that help you kind of leave a general idea. Also, scumble's nice if you don't have a lot of time to draw. Let's say I want to get down, I only have so much time and I'm looking at the Statue of Liberty. So I'm going to kind of scumble it in. So it's controlled scribbles. It's starting to actually look just a little bit like my plant, and I could keep working on it. Controlled scribbles, which are taking us kind of towards the realistic object we're actually drawing. Some samples of some scumbles that are done of shells. You can see they look real. I don't have a problem scribbling, as you can tell. I love to scumble. And these are mostly done with a 2B. If you have a 2H pencil, you'll have a lot more control. But scumble is basically find something that's hard to draw. It's great for things that are hard to draw. Some of these are really hard to draw. And you just scribble. You know, you can start kind of light, and you just work at it. You find more details as you can kind of find your way through. Like mine are kind of crisscrossing over each other, which is exactly how the leaf looks, right? And I'm just scribbling. And I can keep working on that. I'm actually almost done. It's kind of done when it's done. So real fun technique and a nice kind of alternate from the one you just finished, which took probably quite a lot of time. So this one's a little bit longer. And I'm going to scribble this one a little bit more. So I'm kind of trying to get this pointy look that these have. This is kind of thick. There's another one right in here, which kind of comes out there. Anyway, so it's starting actually to look a little bit like this, and then if I combined a lot of these types of things together, it would look like a series of these types of leaves, especially as compared to something else. So that's kind of how a scumble works, and you just kind of have fun with it, and you're done when you're done. If you absolutely can't stand what you did, you can do another on another piece of paper and put it right on top, and that would be fine. But just quick and scribbly, and that's how scumble works. Okay, we've got one more video coming after this one. You're probably still working on your stippling too, and that's fine.